doing the historical portion of Trinity Methodist Church. The congregation has roots in Evansville going back as far as 1819, but really this congregation specifically started in 1825 with the first Methodist class. The building that you see here, they decided to build it in the first year of the Civil War. If you can imagine starting something like this in the Civil War. It was designed by a local architect, Henry Mercina, in a Tudor Gothic style. And you can see lots of symmetry, Gothic arches. You can see the crenellation up there in the arch, in the gable. It's a beautiful church. Cornerstone was laid on June the 19th, 1864. And by 1865, they finished the back portion of it. And they started worshiping there. And then the following year, in 1866, they finished the front portion. And very symmetrical, great brickwork, brick and sandstone. Then the other portion of the church is also a type of Gothic. It's more like collegiate Gothic. And that dates to 1926. That's the church house or home. Offices are there. Amenities, there's a gymnasium in there, believe it or not. Gymnasium where Bob Dole slept during the Civil War, or during the Second World War. It was a place for soldiers to sleep when they visited Evansville when they were at Camp Breckenridge. The entryway will be going in there in just a second. 3 depressed Gothic arches. It's just a gorgeous entryway. We'll head in there now. Up in 1959, and they replaced some wooden ones that were up there that had rotted. Those are of anodized aluminum.
Those are the tires you spoke of?
Yep. See the green up there?
Uh-huh. Anodized aluminum, that's a different material than usual, is it not?
Well, anodized, it means it's coated so it won't oxidize.
I see.
There are fine details everywhere in this church. Look at the cluster columns here, made of cast iron. The doorways, you get the repeats of the Gothic arches. Even the ceiling has a paneled ceiling. And I'm not talking about like the paneling you get at Lowe's today. This is real historic paneling. Church sanctuary. The church sanctuary, I think there are only a couple of churches that have this feel of the mid-19th century yet. And yes, things have changed through time, and I'll mention them, but this is the basic proportion that was here in 1866 when it was dedicated. Up there you can see the structure of the ceiling and the hammer trusses. Very ornate, lots of open work. And the balcony. The balcony here is interesting. It does not date from the building of the church. This was put on in 1884. And as I said, they hold Handel's Messiah here every other year, the Evansville Philharmonic, and the church is just full. The house is full. All the balcony seats. It's candlelit. It's quite a thing to see. Starting in 1962 and then through 1968, there was a lot of remodeling done. New casework was provided for the organ pipes, new altar furniture, new pews. Originally there were semicircular pews all the way through here. And in 1968, the back wall here was built. Come on in. The back wall here was built, and they did this so they could air condition the place, something that's so important here. And just to update you folks, the church was finally dedicated in 1866. They started work in 1862. And among the original features, you can see the hammer trusses in the ceiling and other nice open carved work up there. The balconies date from 1884, but they have the feeling as if they have always been here. And a lot of remodeling done in the 1960s. Guthrie May, in fact, financed a lot of it. I think a lot of you remember Guthrie May. He was responsible for a lot of housing for returning veterans from the Second World War.
Made close to 5,000 houses in Evansville post-World War II.
The chandeliers up there, originally those were gas. And they date from the building of the church.
And what year did you say the church was built?
It was dedicated in 1866. Henry Mersina, a local architect, was in charge. The windows here date from 1911. They're just gorgeous. And let's walk this way so you can see the window in the back of the church. You can see it, the lilies in the central portion of it. Very top, there's the open Bible. And I tell you what, we'll even get a better look at it. Let's come up this way. We're going up to the balcony. See the window even better now, and you can get an appreciation of all of the open work and structure of the hammer trusses from up here. And another close look at the chandelier. Of course, it's been electrified, but originally, as I said, that was gas. Still has the feel, though, of the mid-19th century.
Is this pine for the most part? Or oak?
A lot of it is walnut.
Oh.
Behind the walls and that, they used a lot of poplar.
Was Guthrie May a parishioner here?
Yes, he was.
Big member, I see.
Okay, we'll go through those two doors. And as I said, when they started construction in 1862, they concentrated on this portion first. And for a little over a year, they worshiped in here because this was completed and the main sanctuary was not. It's gorgeous. Again, you have the hammer trusses up there, a bit smaller, but proportionally they fit. The windows are all very similar.
Why did they call it Craig Hall?
Craig Hall, there was Pastor Craig, was one of the most influential clergymen to serve this church. He served for about 15 years, which is unusual in a Methodist church because they tend to move people on. And he was around for a lot of updating. I think you can see from the electric sconces here from the 1920s, they probably date from his time here. It was updated, stage was put in, of course, and so it's used for Sunday school programs, etc. And there's a kitchen on the other side here. As I said, the other portion of the church was completed in 1926, and it's in a collegiate Gothic style, very similar to this church. And by the way, the church was designed after another Methodist church in Newark, New Jersey. It's practically a dead-on copy. So I think the architect here in Evansville saw pictures and maybe had a connection with someone. But this portion right here dates, was finished in 1926. And there's Pastor Craig. You know, the question was asked. This part of the church property has a different feel to it. You know, but it is definitely 20th century. We'll quickly note a few things. Of course, every church like this has this obligatory kitchen, and that's equipped with industrial size steam heat.
Yep, it's a kitchen.
And we'll go to the history room here. Sunday school rooms.
This back wall.
Oh, Tammy, did you see these chairs in here? Aren't they neat?
The three churches on tour, I don't know what we're seeing here.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's the oldest church buildings.
So, what did it cost to build the church when they built it?
You know, I don't have that figure. I'd have to look it up.
Oh, okay.
I don't have it. This is some of the original altar furnishings. Right here. One of the parishioners who was not happy when Guthrie May financed the renovations there latched onto this before she quit the congregation. And after she died, some friends of the congregation discovered that they had this, so they brought it back, and then when this room was done, but let's make sure it's put to use because it's nice. There's the gentleman most responsible for establishing the congregation, Robert Parrott, as in Parrott Street. And he was born in England in 1871, died here in Evansville in 1860. He was a lay minister and was extremely influential in founding this congregation. In fact, he attended the first recorded public religious service in Evansville. A Methodist circuit rider came by in 1819, and he was at that service. That service, by the way, was held in a tavern. But some of the interesting people in the congregation, in fact, my favorite person in the congregation, right here, Albion Fellows Bacon. Her father was Reverend Albion Fellows, and he served this parish.
Albion Fellows Bacon is probably the most influential woman in the 20th century in Evansville,
Yeah,
too, and in
yes.
Indiana.
So,
Did a lot of things for children and children in the city and Indiana.
She was just an amazing woman. This over here shows the church at various periods. In 1900, you can see the previous organ casing. 1916, and currently. And you can see right here, before they moved here, this was called the Locust Street Church, because the church was on Locust Street.
Did you see the quilts? Wow, they had mills on wheels in 1980.
That's the building of the church house. That's what this portion is called. You can see it in the photographs here, the difference in the architecture of the old and the new. The new portion over here on the left, you can see it has the timber and stucco gable, giving it the look of the time of Shakespeare in Tudor England. So it's Tudor Gothic or Collegiate Gothic. The terms are interchangeable. Both churches, both buildings have unique architecture, and I think both are nice. And I think it's kind of nice that they don't look exactly alike. You can tell the difference. Both are well designed. The church house from 1926 was designed by a Detroit architect by the name of Rush. Some important people in the congregations. Sarah Parrott Reed, one of Robert Reed's daughters. Some of her things, including that wonderful dress from the Civil War period.
And this is their declaration, or what was this certificate?
It's a good question. It's in Latin from the Kentucky Republic, the University of Kentucky, I think. It's a Doctor of Divinity for Samuel Reed. My Latin is rusty.
We're going to where Bob Dole slept in World War II.
Well, we're going to make a couple stops first.
What part of the building are we in now? What's this called?
This is called the church house.
The church house.
You come down the steps better than we go up, don't you? You come down is better.
This is the parlor. It's most often and most formally used during weddings. The bridal half of the party, has this wing where the groom's off the other way, so the bridal party can organize themselves in quite an atmosphere.
Yes.
Nice.
And we'll go down there. There's quite a story about how Bob Dole ended up here sleeping, and we'll head to that right now.
And these men's pictures on the wall, can we look at those, and maybe are they previous
They're
pastors or?
Previous pastors
Uh-huh.
through the years.
Stephen Johnson, John Beatty, Charles Burdell, Louis Kane, James Hetty, D.D., Robert DeLong, Barton Fletcher, and go back to Albert Ashley, Samuel Carmuth, D.D., Frank R. Gear, T.H.D., Frank Hamilton, D.D., Thomas Gallagher, 1941 to 43, Herbert Keck, and Alfred E. Craig, named that room named after
Named
Alfred E.
after
Craig.
And here are the pastors previous to them.
I see.
Steps are nice.
In the basement or the lower level of the church house. And this is one of the surprises of the congregation. It's almost as if it's a secret. It's a gymnasium. And during World War II, the church opened up its doors to the GIs who came here from Camp Breckenridge. They were here on leave for the weekend. And it was thought that why not have a wholesome place for them to stay. And so this was opened up. And I think the only requirement was that they sign in the book. And Bill Bartelt, the congregation's historian, went through the book and he saw the name Robert Dole. And so he wrote Senator Dole and said, by any chance did you stay in Evansville at the church one night? And he wrote back and says, I sure did. So this is it. I mean, there's a locker room that way. And one last thing, during the flood of 37, there was water down here. The flood at this part of town only got up about to the level of the sidewalks, but things backed up. So we would be in water right now. Okay. Had minimal damage to the church. Amazingly, they got the boilers going again. Some of the electrical things had to be rewired. Later on, they discovered that there was some foundation problems caused by it, and they had to reinforce the roofing system with steel. So, water does interesting things. Are there any questions about the history? I think.
These are coffee mugs as mementos of the church.
Hi, I'm Al Amstutz, pastor at Trinity United Methodist Church. We're happy to be down here today as a part of the Spiritual Structure program in cooperation with the Downtown Ministers Association. And we're having a wonderful afternoon by introducing people to our buildings, as well as to our churches and all our friendly people at St. Mary's and First Baptist Church and Trinity United Methodist Church.
And I'm Jess. I'm the program coordinator for Spiritual Structures. I am a USI student. I graduated this year, go class of 2013. And Spiritual Structures is my classroom project, and it turned into a community project. And that is what we're doing today.
So we're going to see a couple other churches, and you're trying to outline all the churches that their history and trying to show the architectural plus the general history of each church.
Right. It's history, heritage, but the big idea encompassing all of it is really community. And so that's the whole idea of Open Doors event, is to open the doors and have everybody come in and find out more about the community that we live in.
And Pastor, how many people do you have at this church?
There's about 400 members. We have about 200 on Sunday morning worshiping here at Trinity.
And the Messiah, can you tell us about the Messiah when you do it with the symphony once a year?
Yes, we do that every December, and it's really done by the Philharmonic, the Evansville Philharmonic. They bring their chorus in, they bring their orchestra in, they have 4 wonderful soloists. It's certainly a wonderful event here at Trinity, all by candlelight in this beautiful sanctuary. So it's always something we look forward to every year. And this year it's going to be the Saturday before Christmas, so we're looking forward to that again.
And all the pews here, Guthrie May has helped remodel here. Guthrie May was, after World War II, Guthrie May made about 6,000 houses in Evansville, 5,000 to 6,000 houses. And with some of his funds, he helped your church. He helped with tell us a few things him and his wife helped with.
Guthrie and Alice May have been a tremendous part of this church and a part of this experience. They've been instrumental not only with the building and helping with the structures and bringing in new pieces of equipment, but also with the music program, because that was a favorite of Alice's. So the renovation we did at the other end of the building with the music room, the beautiful beautiful piano we have here is because of the May family and because of their contributions to the church.
Thank you both very much.
I'm Joanne Graham, a member of Trinity Methodist Church for 65 years, and it's been the biggest part of my life. I love it, and there are many, many wonderful people here, wonderful ministers, and it's just been, you're missing the music and everything. It's wonderful here.
Okay, thank you.
Al Amstutz, pastor of Trinity United Methodist Church, and just happy to be here and be a part of this experience today of spiritual structures and the Downtown Ministers Association. The room we're standing in has so much historical value and just amazing. It was built during the Civil War, during a very turbulent time in our nation. Abraham Lincoln was president. But even in the midst of that, they were able to come together and build this wonderful structure where people could come together and worship, be a part of the family of God. What a vision they must have had to bring us to this place and time, and that we can be the recipients of that today here at Trinity and in the